purpose of this record.
This is the podcast about the golden age of hip-hop, dance, 808 freestyle, the culture, the happenings, and the stories of early hip-hop from the artists who were there. Across all socials, subscribe at iTunes, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, and many more at Old School Rewind. Welcome to the Old School Rewind podcast with Aaron Goodwin.
This is the Old School Rewind podcast.
You say a one for the trouble, two for the time. Come on, y'all, let's break this.
Welcome back. It's Friday. That's right. May 25, 2018. Who would have thought Donald Trump would be president? Who would have thought we'd already had a black president? Think of that for just a moment. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that Ice-T would be playing a police officer on TV? Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought it would take me to being 50 years old before I'd be able to witness Egyptian Lover in concert, which I've done since we last talked. Modesto, California is the show I caught. I reside just a few miles north, Central California. A little town called Ripon is where the 35 acres and a microphone podcast originates from. So I thought I want to offer up some rewind from Egyptian Lover and some rewind from Cosmo D. And let me tell you why. After getting lucky enough to go over to Han Ray Customs, I've been maintaining since our interview, I've been talking with Egyptian Lover on social media, and we've remained communicators. We just communicate with each other, you know. I met the guy. I've sort of maintained a little relationship, you know, in hopes that maybe if I ever needed him to put in a good word, I could get somebody on the podcast, right? Let's not forget what a fan I am. But we've sort of maintained this little, and he don't have to talk to me. He don't have to continue on past our podcast. He was cool. But the fact that he has sort of puts in stone what we've heard on the Old School Rewind podcast from other artists when I've asked them who they like to tour with, old school artists, who they like to tour with. And I often hear first Egyptian Lover or Cosmo D from Nucleus. And so I was invited over. Greg invited me over. That's his name, Greg. If you look, I think it's funny the way he says. I said, "So what's your mama call you, Egyptian Lover?" And he said, "Greg." And I said, "Greg, what's your last name?" He said, "Broussard." I thought it was funny. Anyway, he went over to, I didn't even know, a shout out to Han Ray Customs, HANRAY Customs. He does custom renovations on Technique 1200s. And I mean custom. And Egypt was over there. Greg was over there. And I messaged him and said, "Hey, you going to be anywhere, you know?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm over in Salida at Han Ray Customs." And I'm like, "Where's that?" And he gives me the address, and I'm 4.5 miles away. So on the way I go. Grab my 808. Can you sign my 808? Sure. So I grab my 808. I grab both of my albums from Egypt, old school ones. And I take him down there to Han Ray Customs in Salida. And I walk in, and it's just Han Ray and his wife and SM1 I met out there. And shout out to DJ Steve Dietrichs. Look him up, DJ Steve, and then the letter D, Trix, as he put on a great old school show. Egyptian Lover threw down. And if you go search me out, you can actually go to Old School Rewind. I think I shared it there first at the Old School Rewind Facebook page. But you can also find me at Aaron E. Goodwin. Randy Bubba Black is the radio name I used forever. If you type in either, the account that comes up under my name is me. It's got a cartoon for a profile pic. Check it out if you want to see video from the show. I show up to Han Ray Customs, not knowing it's what it is. I think it's a DJ gear shop. For the most part, it's not. He fixes Technique turntables. That's the gig. Henry Morales. And when I talk about fixing, this dude straight up goes through your 1200s, but he'll redo the motors and he'll spray paint, airbrush, or vinyl cover, custom tone arms in gold. Egyptian Lover said he had seen a couple of white turntables that had been tricked out, and he couldn't believe it. He said that it looked like the Purple Rain guitar, the white guitar from Purple Rain. And SM1, I think, now is in the possession of those turntables. But I walk into Han Ray Customs, And there's Egypt sitting there. And I see a carton of double-doubles that have been devoured. Everybody's already had their double-double. And I'm thinking it was like an in-store. And in sort of a way it was, I guess, to Egypt. He was there for a few hours hanging with those guys. And I'm sure he's done that before by the tone of the conversation that was going on. I sort of felt out of place when I rolled up in there. I walked in and made eye contact, and I said, hey, how's it going? And he knew who I was when I walked in. He could tell. And I said, hey, nice to meet you, And he was pimping these 12-inch sleeves that he's done drawing work on. And they were incredible. And I didn't have any dough on me. And he's all, hey, man, take one and, pay me when you can. And I'm thinking, can you believe this dude? Can you believe it? Don't know me from Adam. Knows me from social. I guess if you're going to watch me from social, you know that I'm about keeping my guns. I'm a new grandpa. I love old school music. Got sort of a twisted sense of humor. Those might be the things you see there. Anyways, Egypt said he'd front one of these skins. He sells them for $150. It's him drawing in Egyptian lover style, these killer, badass cartoons. And I'm going to put up, I bought one. I bought a $50 one. And here's the deal with me. I'm totally out of money. We had a veterinary. You know how the vet is when you have 6 dogs. You can pop a vet bill and then all of a sudden be out any money you had prior to the next money coming in the house, right? So that sort of was where we were at. I'd already bought the tickets. I had a few dollars in my pocket, and I wanted one of these. I wanted one of the covers. They're $150, man. I don't know if I could do 150 just right now. But when we got out to the show, he had these 8x11s. Same thing, drawings, killer little mini murals, I guess you'd call them. I said, I have one. I went back at him. I said, hey, you offered me earlier today. This is not at the show now. We're at the merch booth at the show, which is Egypt and his nephews, 2 of his nephews there. They were manning the merch booth. And I actually said, hey, I didn't take you up on that earlier, but instead of the $150 one, I'd like to take one of these $50 ones because he had a bitchin' 808 that he drew, a sketch of an 808, and it's signed. So I got to have it. So today I'm actually going to send the $50 on to PayPal or by mail, however he wants me to do it. This guy gave to me in advance a piece of his art, trusting that I'll send him the $50. Bit of a recluse, don't get out much. Able to see 99 in the mix. He was throwing down. You guys are familiar. Dietrich's threw a live set, for that matter. Pretty active, old school DJ music community here. And Egyptian Lover was the star at Urbano in Modesto. So cool. The set was 4, 5, 6, 7 songs, about a half hour or so. Went on around 11:30 instead of midnight. Played to a good crowd. A lot of my age there. I'm 50. There's also a lot of younger there. And boy, do they have those phones out and shooting movies of Egypt. You ain't never seen nothing like that. When you really think about it, who comes out and plays a drum machine anymore? I remember watching Howard Jones come out and play his keyboard that looked like a guitar. Remember that? But Egypt goes from his DJ set and then starts. Someone said, does he rap? I don't know if Egyptian Lover raps. I don't know if I'd call that rap. I mean, I guess. It's his type of rap. He's got this, it's more of a singing and a flow, and, he's an artist. He does a quick old school set, 30, 45 minutes, that he's been doing forever. Did his triple threat, which he talks about in an interview, which I'm going to play for you coming up as we rewind. And then he starts out with the 808. And he mentioned to me on his podcast that when the sound of the 808 grabbed the 10,000 people at Los Angeles Sports Arena or Complex or whatever it was called back in the day when they put 10,000 asses in a Coliseum, he said that when you turn on that drum machine, it's so clear. And in comparison, when he went from that vinyl to that 808, which he picks up and shows everybody, it's the grail of Egyptian Lover, comes out and folds his arms in front of the stage, and dude has it. He's been doing the same thing forever. I just know. I haven't seen him. It's my first time seeing him, but I know that's his thing. It was beautiful to see if you're an old school fan. Literally. Why is Aaron all on Egyptian Lover's jock? I'm not. I love old school, and it was a hell of a show. So he did Egypt, beat goes boom. What is a DJ? Yes, yes, yes. Dial a Freak from his Uncle Jam's Army days. The 808 was the feature. He played it like a fiddle in Nashville. And Egyptian Lover had a great show as far as this old school jock is concerned. The sound of the 808. It was incredible. It was like $20 a ticket. We were right there. 6 feet. I had quite a joy of meeting a hero. And then he showed Modesto his art this art isn't played out. He just released an album. He's got another album Egyptian Lover's got out. Speaking of Cosmo D earlier that I was talking about, he also will do a rewind with Cosmo in here, part of the show. Maybe we'll end out with a little bit of Cosmo's interview. It was one of the first ones I've done. I need to get him back on the interview and talk to him again. Now that we've had so many episodes and heard so many different stories. Nucleus has a new album too, so Egyptian Lover and Cosmo. And hence we'll do the Old School Rewind with those two guys. All right? These were some of our first episodes of the Old School Rewind podcast where we're getting 10,000 downloads per month. If I were to put on 2 shows, would you be there for 2 shows? Your subscribe button would. Would that mean I had 20,000 downloads all of a sudden? So we're toying around with 2 days. I actually spoke to the unknown DJ, too, on the phone. Hollered out to Lonzo and said, hey, can I do it? And that's another thing that Egypt said. I said, I'm trying to get unknown. Oh, man, you don't do that. And I hear that from everybody. And you know what? He might not. But I spoke to Unknown, and he told me some great stories that I wouldn't share with you now, some that he asked me not to share. And he's going to come to the podcast. He's going to check it out, and he get back to me. No phone number, no nothing. So I'm going through, I got to call Lonzo from Wrecking Crew for him to call Unknown DJ because no one talks to Unknown DJ. He's recluse. And if I could work that out, that'd be great. I think the last thing he did was a few years ago with Red Bull, and other than that, nothing. So that'd be cool to get Unknown DJ on the show. I'm still working on SOS. Talking to my buddy Ricky Ricardo here in town, Ricky Ricardo Promotions. He does Spanish shows here. He might bring the Jets to Central California. That'd be neat. Small show, like Livingston way, out that way. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the podcast. I don't mean to just talk your ear off, even though it's my prerogative, because it's going to automatically come down in your ears every Friday if you've hit subscribe at any of our mediums on social, including iHeart and YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, oldschoolrewind.com. If you Google Old School Rewind Podcast, man, we're the whole first page now, to where you could never see us before when we first started. That's cool. Yeah. I asked Egyptian Lover if he ever got laid in high school. When I met him in person, he goes, what did I say? He said,
did anybody get laid in school? Heck nah.
What happened? Was there a babysitter? Where did someone turn you out somewhere? So at some point you got set off on that one-track mind.
I was just walking down the street when this little freak started following me. She was strange, but that was alright, cause a strange girl was coming home with me tonight. She had cute lips and pretty eyes with a shake and a walk and dreamful thighs. Her hair was oh so long, and the sexy way she talked just turned me on. I was kinda shocked when she approached me, and her body was the best that you ever could see. I didn't get nervous, I didn't turn back, cause I could do it all, baby, just like that. You better slow down, girl, you had too much wine with your see-through lace. Oh, girl, you're fine. One thing you don't know that you better know at times that the Egyptian Lover has a one-track mind.
I think I was always a one-track mind. I had a one-track mind ever since, first Playboy I ever saw or whatever. It's just girls in school. I always liked the girls.
Were there girls pre-Egyptian, as I'm calling it? I've got a new word for it. It's pre-Egyptian.
I mean, I always had crushes on girls all my life. So, I mean, it was that. Never had a real steady girlfriend, but I flirted with all the girls. So, yeah, I went on a lot of dates and had a lot of girlfriends. I mean, I used to dance, so girls like guys who dance. And
sure.
Got the Jerry curl, and girls went crazy.
Some GAME.
Oh, yeah. I had to Mac down, call them on the phone, get the phone voice. Hello, how you doing? All that good stuff.
We'll talk about that voice. Sports. Did you play any kind of sports?
I played football when I was really young, but I had asthma, and we didn't have any asthma sprays back then. You actually have to go to the hospital and, get on the machine. So
right.
I couldn't play football very long because I had asthma. And it's kind of funny because when I made my second record, Egypt, I played it for my mother, and she says, why are you breathing? You have asthma. I said, that's exactly why I'm breathing. So I'm telling you that I'm over it. I can breathe now. So it's kind of like a play on the asthma thing as well.
Very interesting. Then I was going to ask about that too. So that's very interesting. So you didn't want to be Dusty Baker. You wanted to be Prince and Kraftwerk mixed together, huh? How did you get exposed to your first Prince and Kraftwerk?
Prince, he made a song called Soft and Wet. And as soon as the record started, he used the breathing like,
sure.
And I always thought that was so sexy and it just like... One of them old songs like "Put Your Foot on a Rock."
Put your foot on the rock and pat your foot.
I was like, that's so nasty, it's so sexy.
Put your foot on the rock and pat your foot. Don't stop. Put your foot on the rock.
And so when Prince used it, in Soft and Wet, and then on the breakdown, it said something like, "Leave you without breath," and I was like, oh man, use the breathing again in there. Then I heard his second album. He did a song called "Sexy Dancer," and was going. And that just took it away. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the perfect nasty song to dance to. You can do the nasty when you're dancing, and I just took it from there. Like, yeah, I'm putting breathing in everything I ever do. If I ever do any more mixtapes for high school and stuff like that, so I was doing raps on my mixtapes and putting breathing all in the mixtape. So I was breathing.
Any of those living on the internet now on YouTube?
Heck no, I would never put none of that on YouTube. It was a totally different kind of rap. It was a straight up high school, street rap kind of thing. So I'm glad that's not out there. So,
oh, it's something you're not too proud of.
Well, it was just straight gangster stuff, street stuff, and it was something that I didn't, go further in my career. I just went to my own style.
I see. Okay. And so how did that influence? How did you get the gangster influence? Was it
It came just from living in the streets. I mean, that's what everybody lived. That's what you know. So you write and you rap about what you know.
So it's the first time I got to see Egyptian Lover. In conversation, when I bring up who are some of the nicest cats in hip-hop, Cosmo D comes up too. And he does a cool thing with his son, DJ Dog Train, and I think it's D-O, 2 G's, and then Trane. Not the traditional way of spelling train, but you got to see them on the Global Funk Radio Mix Hour. Actually, it's a good 3 hours. They Cosmo and his son do on Saturday nights. Definitely check that out. That's piped out straight from their house in their basement. But Cosmo and Egyptian Lover came up in conversation a bunch during our first episodes, talking to other old school artists on the Old School Rewind podcast. They always say Egyptian Lover and Cosmo D. Cosmo's got a new album. Nucleus has a new album. But when I asked Cosmo D how he got his tapes back, I wasn't really surprised at the answer. They didn't have their masters, but they got them back. And I said to Cosmo, how'd you get them back?
We won't get into that.
What's your favorite rap record, Cos?
My favorite rap record. Wow. Nobody's ever asked me that.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
That's number one question right there. Shit. You're right. I couldn't. I would have to cut it down into years and types, and it would be hard to break down. Is there one that sticks out? Is there 3?
Eric B. is president.
Right.
That jumps out.
I came in the door, I said it before. I never let the mic magnetize me no more, but it's biting me, inviting me to rhyme. I can't hold it back. I'm looking for
Bonita Applebaum.
Tribe.
Yep.
Man, that's classic. What's your favorite electronic group?
You asking me all these questions.
Come on, man. Was it Kraftwerk? You had to feel it. You felt it somewhere.
My favorite electronic artist of all time.
Is it Arthur Baker's work? Who is it?
Giorgio Moroder, most likely. I found Kraftwerk to be boring until they finally made the Computer World album. And then I said, okay, now they're doing something. I found that their sound was ingenious, but their music was boring. Dum 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 on the autobahns.
1, 2.
Yeah, no. Numbers was dope.
How about Tour de France?
Tour de France was dope.
Okay, I don't even rock the Autobahn, man. I just rock those two, man.
That's what I'm talking about. From Computer World album onward, then they got funky. But before that, they were boring. That's what I'm saying. Metal on Metal had a great sound, but 3 minutes. Okay, let's move on to something else.
What's the drum machine you guys used? Was that an 808?
On the first album, it was the 808. Except we also used the DMX. We used the DMX on a couple of tunes. On Destination Earth and No More Running was a DMX, but otherwise 808.
Cosmo D from Nucleus, Egyptian Lover.
The old school is so cool, man. I love it to death, and I may be outdated, but I love it this way, and I'm going to stay outdated.
And as tricky as it is and rocky road from the analog to digital world, it ain't ever going back, Egypt. You know that, right?
Right. But I still have mine. I still watch it. I have an old TV in one of my rooms, and sometimes I go in there and pop in a VHS tape and just watch an old movie, and it's just fun.
That's going to get you some eye surgery.
Man, I watched it for a whole month when I was making my 1984 album. I put it all in all the movies that came out in '84, like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, and just a bunch of different shows that came out around that time. And I had fun watching them again on that TV with VHS tapes. And man, it just inspired me to stay in that year. So when I came back to the studio, I was 100% in that mode, bringing out the 808 and the Jupiter 8 and just making songs.
You know, you seem to be a pretty clean thinker, and I think I know the answer to this, but no drugs, no weed, no alcohol.
Only thing I like is whiskey, like aged whiskey. Like I'll buy some 18-year-old whiskey and mellow out and just chill, and that's my thing.
I gotta ask you, the Freakaholic video must have been a fun time. All the ladies in the video.
Yeah.
Get any catch action there?
Man, I don't kiss and tell, man.
Egyptian?
Nah. I kiss and tell on a record.
Oh, but you'll do it on a record. No kiss and tell private, but kiss and tell on the record.
Yeah, not personally. Only in the fantasy world.
Unfair, Egypt.
Freakaholic is a freakaholic dream.
I know shooting videos, sometimes the process is pretty involved. And from a guy that's a DJ, stands behind a console, and is probably more comfortable behind the console, how was it to step out from behind the console and to lay in the middle of them? I'm not sure. How many ladies were you laying in between in the Freakaholic video? You look pretty comfy. Were you?
Yeah, it was great. Definitely. I mean, I'm a ladies' man. It's a dream come true in reality.
I'm a professional radio broadcaster 30 years, and I know someone that loves to hear their own voice. Do you, Egypt? Naturally.
Of course. The ladies like it more, though. I have several voices. I have a voice to talk to, and then I have a little lady's voice. You put it down low and you say, hey, baby, what's going on? How you doing? I'm going to come over tomorrow and, do a little something. you got record voices. Yeah, baby.
There's lots of catch action there.
Exactly.
How'd you come up with catch action? I love it.
I don't know where it came from, but that was it. It was like catch action there.
Seriously, that's the shit.
That's right. Catch action. Yeah, it's just ladies. I figured out one little thing. I said, back in the day, when Hollywood became Hollywood, so many beautiful women came to be stars in Hollywood. They had children, and then their children had children, and that's all the girls we had in L.A. when I was growing up. And that was catch action.
Egypt, I'm going to mention some song titles, and you tell me what comes to your mind.
All right.
If I was to say Egypt, Egypt, your most seminal track, you'd say?
That would be my theme song when I'm walking down the street. That's what's playing. Egypt, Egypt all day. What's my name? Egypt. What's my name? Egypt. My whole name. Egyptian Lover. Definitely.
Were you technologically stuck inside of those headphones when you would step into the studio, especially once sipping some of that fine aged whiskey? Because I know what it's like to get inside of a production room and to fire up a processor and to start playing around with your voice. And as you vibe to those tracks, it sounds, to me, someone who deals with vocals and processing, that it was so experimental yet so planned.
Man, a lot of stuff was planned, but when I go to the studios, I always ask the engineer, what's this machine do? What does this machine do? How can we make this machine work with the cowbell? How can we put this on the rim shot? What have you used for synthesizers? What have you put on that lately? What have you done with this? Or you put that on a guitar, how would it sound on the bass line? And so I try to use all the outboard gear and just see what it can do. Because, it's outboard gear. So let's use it. Let's see what it can do. Let's do something different.
Are you always the vocals, or did you hire people?
No, I was always the vocals.
There was a few females on track.
We had female on Dollar Freak, and
Egypt,
at the end she goes, "I want you." And if you listen to the album version of Egypt, you'll hear a girl say "Egypt, Egypt," and on the 12 inches it's a little lower in the track, so you can't hear it. But on the album version, I lifted it up a little bit so you can hear it on there.
Right down to you spinning the track backwards and putting it on wax. Not the Beatles, but Egypt, Egypt.
Right.
Where'd you come up with it?
That was Prince all day long. That was Prince. He did, at the end of one of his albums, he sung backwards, and then I played it backwards and I heard what he said, and then I said, I'm going to put that on my record. So I flipped the tape over backwards.
I just want to rock and make you free. Cause I am the creator of this beat. We need box the sun, the box the sun, the but the box. We need box the sun, the box the sun, the but the box. We need box the sun, the box the sun, the but the box. We need box the sun, the box the sun, the but the box.
How about a menage a trois, baby, me and you. And played it backward. Wiggy yamp yum omshum shamp yum omshum shamp yum omshum wop.
It was incredible, Egypt.
How about a menage a trois, baby you? How about a menage a trois, baby you? How about a menage a trois, me and you? How about a menage a trois, me and you?
How about the song My House on the Nile?
That was like Where I Live. Where I Live on the Nile. That's right. It's so much fun. We party all night.
Where I live on the Nile. That's right. It's so much fun. We party all night. Where I live on the Nile. That's right. It's so much fun. We party all night.
One of my favorites, Girls. Girl.
That was just living in L.A. I like the girls.
I like the girls.
So I started listening to all the girls I had crushes on and all my girlfriends. And so if you listen to that song, you hear all the ones that was around me around that time.
Female on the track of Girls. Girl.
That was, I went to the Guitar Center on the way to the studio and said, what kind of new keyboards you guys got? He said, we have this new thing called the emulator. I'm like, what does it do? He said, well, you can sample your voice. I was like, really? So I didn't even ask for the price. I just bought it. It was like $6,500. Went to the studio right then, the next hour, had a girl come in and say, girls, on the mic. And I just played the music with it. Girls. And that was just so futuristic.
Girls used one of the first samples.
I think so, because nobody else have an emulator. Nobody else had $6,500 at the time either.
So at that point, you really tripped a trigger because you've got Egypt out, you've got all of these songs out, and the music has now become seminal, not just Egypt. I mean, your album is like a greatest hits now. I know you like Kraftwerk and Prince, but the workings of
Prince. Yeah, I never listened to the new stuff. I mean, I probably hear it one or two times on the radio, but I really wasn't a radio cat. So I was just listening to Prince and Kraftwerk and just get inspired by Prince's music. Man, every time Prince had an album, I would have that in the car, but nothing else really. And then I liked a lot of ballads, so I listened to a lot of slow songs. The Isley Brothers, Barcase had a few slow songs, One Way, Confunction. I love the ballads, and I'll just make some mixed CDs and put them in the car and just roll with them.
Oh, man, that brings me back.
Yep.
Man, Michael Cooper on those ballads.
Oh, Michael Cooper is amazing.
Tell me about the ultimate scratch.
Yeah, the ultimate scratch was just like we had 2 hours left in the studio, didn't have nothing to do, so I made a beat real fast and put some scratching on it and called it the ultimate scratch, and that was that. Yeah, it was just a last minute song that was boom in the studio. Let's do this, let's do that.
Had to have been a lot of car shows during that time, those years.
Man,
where was all the support?
It was just fun. I mean, the lowrider shows was just like so much fun with different culture and just going there and doing my thing and just getting so much love from all the lowrider owners, and it was just a great time to be around.
San Jose, a huge market for the car shows. Where else?
So many markets, man. I could do 4 shows in LA alone, and 4 different crowds will show up. So it's pretty cool. Even today, I can go to Europe. I can do a all house concert, and then I come up and do my show. I mean, no matter what kind of music they're listening to, they always like this old school. So I had a pretty good career, and I'm still having a good career right now, just mixing it with everybody.
I saw you did a track with a cat named Smooth E. It was pretty dope.
Man, it was just when I first heard it, I'm like, man, I like it. It sounds cool, and I want to be down. So he sent me some tracks, and I picked a few I wanted to get with and get on, and that was a pretty fun project.
Talk quick like about 1984. So I get online and I start searching around for interview topics, and I happen upon 1984, and I'm like, what's this, man? I think I missed an album or something. I'm not sure how I did that, but then I find out that's the one you dropped after so many years, after being out, and everybody waited to get their hands on, and that's 1984. Dance to My Beat. Popper's Anthem. I can hear the Numbers influence, Kraftwerk in Freaky Deaky. How fun was it to make? And how long did it take?
Man, that album took forever to do. I mean, I recorded the whole album, and then the hard drive crashed. So we had to record new songs, and we kept recording newer songs. None of the old songs made it on the album, only the newer songs. But by that time, me and my keyboard player had meshed together so well, we started knocking out songs left and right. So the total time on that album probably took about 6 years and about $80,000. But we had so much fun, and we recorded so many songs that my next album, 1985, is only going to cost probably only a quarter of that, because most of the stuff is already done.
It just sounds like 1984.
Definitely, because I went back to the same studios, I used the same equipment, and came up with the same sound.
I imagine you promoted it.
Oh, yeah. We sold out of all the vinyl. We sold out of the CDs. I mean, make cassettes, and we sold out of all the cassettes. I just repressed some more vinyl, and I bring them out to the concerts. And I always play a couple songs from the new album and the new concerts. And, man, they lose their mind. And they download it from Bandcamp and iTunes and all the Beatports and all that stuff. So it's selling really well.
And you got videos out on it?
Oh, yeah, we got a video out on that. I got videos pretty much for every song. I'm recording a video this weekend for Dance to My Beat. And I'm in the studio right now doing a remix for Into the Future. So the album is still booming. Everybody's still loving it. And Bandcamp sales are through the roof.
The 1983 documentary you did with Africa Islam and Ice-T, did that gain you some notoriety?
Oh, definitely.
Were you famous already, or did it help you along?
I think we were already on our way to being famous, and the documentary just helped it throughout the world, because a lot of people around the world saw the documentary, and then they found out who I was, and that helped.
I guess some of these cars have beats. And Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre on the Defiant ones, they were in there tuning a car. When you would record, did you go out to the car and pop it in to see how it sounded, and what kind of system did you have back then?
Sometimes. I had a serious system in my bands, so I would always check it in my bands, and it definitely sounded great in there, and I know it's going to sound great everywhere. But like I said, I always use that was an Alpine system with some custom woofers that wasn't out for the public. So one of my car audio people had like a pair. He says, man, they wanted me to test these speakers. And when I tested them, they said, cool. And they never took them back. So would you like them? I said, sure. So I put them in my car, and they had huge magnets in the back of them, and it was just amazing.
Your favorite electronic band, Kraftwerk, who else do you like electronically?
I like Gary Newman. I like old rock bands. I like funk bands. I like pretty much everything that came out in the 80s. I like that kind of stuff. Visage had a song that I fell in love with. I mean, I just like all kind of music, all kind of bands, all kind of groups, all kind of singers, electronics. Everything was just cool. I mean, Yaz came out, Yazoo with Situation, Yaz. That was incredible. I mean, I love all that stuff. All that was just great. And then I started hearing like Nucleus and Juan Atkins with Cybertron and Pretty Tony stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is the stuff that I absolutely love. I love it to my heart, to deep in my soul. So the Planet Rock style and the Kraftwerk style kind of stuck with me, and that's going to be my style for the rest of my life.
Egypt, you said you never experienced any racism coming up. It's just not something that you saw. Lil Wayne put out a video that talked about racism and how he didn't feel that he was affected by racism. I heard you earlier in the cast say the same thing. You weren't really affected like that by racism. Does that mean you were never harassed?
No, I mean, I got harassed by the cops all the time when I was a kid. And we was talking about that today, actually, on the way to the studio. And I think just talking about, how I was growing up, like how the cops just stopped me and pulled me over for no reason at all and harassed you. You're just growing up being black. And it was just normal for me, and I didn't know any difference until I grew up and found out that they don't do it, to everybody, only the black kids in L.A.
The sound on the West Coast was not as cool as the sound on the East Coast technology-wise. They were way in ahead. And Cosmo talks about how he really valued his recording process. What did you think of, say, Cosmo D from Nucleus's recording process at that time? It sounded different from the West Coast.
Oh, definitely. When I heard Computer Age push the button, I'm like, yeah. See, and I kind of appreciated the sound quality of what he did. And then, like, I can hear the studio, I can hear the EQs, and I really like that. And then when I heard other records, I kind of compared them to professional people like Prince and Michael Jackson and Rick James. And I thought Cosmo D was right up there in that group. And I wanted to be right there in that group, too, so I always went to the studio and made sure everything was EQ'd to the T.
Cosmo D told me his favorite electronic artist was Giorgio Moroder.
Nice.
I didn't realize that one of Giorgio Moroder's tracks ended up being Blondie's Rapture, the first #1 rap single.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Egypt, I'm going to try to make the drive down. Uncle Jam's Army reunion is going to happen on October 28th, 2017, which is in a few weeks. You're going to be there.
Oh, yes. I helped put that together, and it's going to be a lot of historical West Coast groups, and we're going to get there and just have a bunch of fun, and I'm sure the media is going to eat it up. And I made sure to get all the superstar West Coast guys together, and we're going to have a bunch of fun. And it's also... we got Ice-T with the original DJ The Glove. We got Bobcat, original member from Uncle Jam's Army. Dr. Funkenstein, original member from Uncle Jam's Army. We got the Wrecking Crew with Alonzo and Clientele. And we got the remaining member of LA Dream Team, Snake Puppy. And he's going to be actually performing with General Jeff. And going to be performing, and it's just going to be just incredible. And of course, myself, I'm going to be DJing, showing the triple thread, the backwards spinning, and also performing and bringing the 808. So it's going to be a heck of a show.
You going to be breakdancing out there? You said you were a dancer.
No breakdance. It came out after me. I was more of the cool gigolo freak style dancing. So I did a lot of dancing before the breakdancing.
Egyptian Lover, what's your mama call you?
Greg.
How do you say that last name?
Broussard.
Yes, Broussard.
Yep. It's a French name with a Creole background.
Did your parents think you were crazy? Did you have to take a little crap from, say, Pops?
Oh, yeah. My father actually told me, he says, you're not going to make any money being a DJ. I know a DJ, and he's flat broke. He says, you're not going to make any money being a DJ or doing what you're doing. Try to find you a better job. And then when he saw the first 3 or 4 checks come in, he's like, all right, you're doing good. Do what you got to do.
What's your parents' favorite songs?
Nah, they never told me their favorite song. I mean, they're old school, so they like the old school stuff. Just like I like my old school stuff, and the generation under me going to like their generation stuff, and the generation after that going to like their generation stuff. So I think we're all generational, and we're all going to like what we grew up with, and that's going to be what we like.
What are some of your favorite Egyptian Lover phrases?
Freak this.
Let's get that sucker copyrighted.
That's my favorite right there. Freak this.
The internet makes this podcast go worldwide on iTunes. What would you like to say to all your supporters, all your fans out there, not just in America, but worldwide? You are a worldwide living legend.
I got 3 simple words. 3 simple words that I always say at the end of my parties, the end of my dances. 3 simple words. Enjoy your life.
Nice. Egyptian Lover, thank you. I've had a 30-year broadcasting career that is so full. Today is one of the spotlights talking to you, my friend. Thanks.
For sure, for sure.
I'm killing it.
Old School Rewind has come to a halt right there until next Friday, when hopefully we have Unknown DJ on. I might even be down in Southern California. Hell, I might run up on Lonzo up in his club. I just might. Have him tell me some more crazy stories from the Wrecking Crew. He's got a new podcast, too. Lonzo does from Wrecking Crew. Check that out. Alonzo Williams, if you're not following Lonzo. Cool. Yeah, that does it for this podcast. Pretty cool week. Thank you for being here. We can't do it without you. If you wouldn't tell a friend or share or subscribe, we'd have nobody listening. And as I told you at the front of the podcast, 10,000 per week with one show. If I put on another show, does that mean 20,000? I think that's going to be the test. So keep listening. We're exploring mixtapes and bootlegs. And again, I'm working on Unknown DJ coming on the show. If I can get that landed, man, it'd be a big deal. He just doesn't do interviews. Recluse, for sure. And he ain't too proud to say it. And neither is Lonzo or anybody who knows him, including Egyptian Lover, as he said. Yeah, if you get that done, that's going to be a big deal, he said. So I'm off to the post office. I'm going to mail my 50 to Egypt. This podcast business don't pay very well. We'll be back at you on Friday next week, the Old School Rewind podcast. And I appreciate you listening.
You've been listening to the Old School Rewind with Randy Bubba Black. Share and subscribe now at oldschoolrewind.com.